Have you ever looked at a map and wondered, why isn't Canada just a part of the United States? They share the longest border in the world, speak mostly the same language, and have a lot of things in common. So, why is Canada not part of the US? Well, to find out the answer, we have to go way back in history. The story starts between the French and the British. In the 1600s, the French arrived in Canada, in today's Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. In 1608, Samuel de Champlain founded Quebec. Over the next centuries, thousands of French colonists moved along the St. Lawrence River, spreading into Montreal and the area nearby. But here's the twist. Britain and France had conflicts. At the time, Britain controlled 13 colonies along the Atlantic coast, which spoke English, while France controlled French-speaking parts in Canada and a huge stretch of land around the Great Lakes and the Mississippi River. Both France and Britain wanted the Ohio Valley, a rich area for trade and settlement. In 1754, the French and Indian War broke out in North America, and George Washington was even involved in the first battles. The fighting grew bigger, and by 1756, it had become the global 7 Years' War. The turning point came in 1759, when the British captured Quebec City at the Battle of the Plains of Abraham. And in 1760, they also took Montreal. In 1763, the Treaty of Paris made France give up nearly all of its North American lands and Canada to Britain. But another turning point came in 1776. The 13 Atlantic coast colonies, from Massachusetts to Georgia, started a war with Britain, fighting for independence. The colonies were able to win by using their home advantage, determination, and support from France, defeating Britain at Yorktown in 1781. Then, in 1783, the Treaty of Paris officially recognized the United States as an independent country. During this time, many Loyalists and colonists who supported Britain fled north into Canada. This made Canada even more tied to Britain. This Canadian and Britain connection would become a key part to why it is not part of the US. However, at this time, some American leaders believed Canada might also want to join the United States. They thought French Canadians might prefer joining the US over staying under British rule. But that didn't sit well with Canadians. Why? Because Canada's French-speaking population didn't feel connected to the mostly English-speaking Americans. But the Americans didn't give up. They tried to invade Canada in hopes of convincing them to join. They targeted Quebec in 1775 during the Revolutionary War, but the Canadians, with British support, defended the city through the winter climate, and it didn't stop there. During the War of 1812, the US invaded parts of what's now Ontario, with battles like Queenston Heights in 1812 and Châteauguay in 1813. And what happened? British and Canadian forces pushed them back. Yet again, even the US capital, Washington, was burned by British troops in 1814. The war ended in a draw with the Treaty of Ghent, but Canada had once more proven it could defend itself, strengthening its own identity. Instead of joining the US later on, most people in Canada stayed loyal to Britain. Many Canadians were French settlers or British loyalists who had fled the American Independence Revolution, and they felt less connected to the United States as time went on. As time passed, Canada grew in its own way. Canadians wanted more control over their government, and in the 1840s, Britain granted them responsible government, meaning Canadian leaders, not British officials, made the local decisions. Canada gained freedom step by step through negotiation. Meanwhile, the US took a different path. In the mid-1800s, it fought the Mexican-American War, looking to add new territories in the Southwest near Texas, and then later faced its own civil war in the 1860s. In 1867, Britain allowed Canada to form its own government, called the Dominion of Canada. By 1931, it was almost fully independent. At the same time, the US was focused on expanding west and overseas territories, fighting the Spanish-American War in 1898 and joining World War I in 1917. By this time, invading Canada no longer made sense. The US and Canada were developing strong trade ties, and both shared the same powerful ally, Britain. Britain had now become closer to the US due to it being its main trading partner, while ties with France weakened after the French Revolution and the rise of Napoleon. The long conflicts of the 1700s and 1800s had also shown how hard it was to conquer Canada. Instead of enemies, the two countries slowly became friends. And moving forward to this day, the US and Canada share one of the closest relationships in the world. They are each other's biggest trading partners, cooperate on defense, and work together on global questions. Today, Canada values its own identity. For Canadians, there is no reason to give up independence to join the US. The two countries are stronger as partners, and that's why Canada is not part of the US.